pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, it is Tuesday, August 20th, 2019. This is the Mitchell County Board of Supervisors. We are at the Mitchell County Courthouse. And we have in front of us an agenda. Do we have any corrections or any changes for that? If not,
Also move to accept the current agenda.
Second.
Barb has made a motion, Stan has seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We have the minutes of August 13th in front of us. And do we have any additions or corrections to that? If not,
So move.
Stanley has made a motion,
Second.
Barb has seconded it. Roll call, Stanley.
Aye.
Barb.
Aye.
Smollett, aye. So we have approved the August 13th meeting minutes. Number 3, county attorney, general discussion.
The only thing I have, it's just for your information, this is just how things get messed up. Remember we had that autopsy report last week, and I said, I don't think he's a resident. And so I sent it back to them, and then Lowell had checked with somebody, and they said, no, he's a resident of your county. And then I got a call from another county attorney that said, we've been waiting for that autopsy because the death was a little bit unusual, and so we've been waiting for it. He's a resident of our county. And then somebody else called and said, no, he isn't a resident of Mitchell County, and so.
Still up in the air, who's fighting over what?
Well, if
think it's our-
you're a resident of Mitchell County and you go to a facility somewhere, you're still considered a resident of Mitchell County, you know? So
Right.
that, when that county attorney said, yeah, he was a resident of our county, he might have just meant, well, he was staying here in one of our facilities, but that doesn't mean we're paying for the autopsy. So I don't know what's going on.
Couldn't find any records, so.
Yeah. But they claimed at first, yeah, he's a resident of Mitchell County. When you talk to somebody.
I talked to the auditor,
And
and
they said,
she said their county attorney was waiting for that.
Yeah.
Well, you got it.
yeah, so that's just how. And it,
We'll see if we
what
can
it all
tell.
amounts to, and this is terrible, but this is what it all amounts to, is nobody wants to pay the autopsy bill.
Yeah, that's,
Because the county of residence is responsible for it and to store it.
and so we are that county.
We don't
No.
think so.
We don't think so, but yet,
Checked with county social services, they didn't have anything on this person, that he was ever one of their clients. So.
Time will tell.
But if somebody else wants to claim them,
They can
but
have,
we do have a county interested in the information on his
Well,
autopsy.
they wanted the autopsy because that's where he died. And it was under, not suspicious, but it was, you know, unusual.
Okay.
And so they were still waiting for the cause of death, which turned out to be natural. But they were thinking, you know,
Okay.
it's just like years and years ago, somebody died and you put to jail. You know, it's because, correct me if I'm wrong here, right before he was arrested, he swallowed a bunch of drugs, right? And then the baggie broke open in his stomach, and then he dies.
Yep.
So, but anytime you get somebody dying in the jail, they label it as suspicious until they get the autopsy.
Okay.
So,
Well, I guess we'll just have to go further into the future here to find out.
well, as long as we don't get a bill, we're happy.
Yeah, okay. Well,
That's all I have.
I have nothing.
you did send an email last week concerning changes of taxation and possibly that people might think it had something to do with tax increment financing.
Oh, I said, I don't think that's what's gonna happen. People, right or wrong, people are getting their tax statements and saying, oh gosh, it went up 4%, it went up 7%. And if they wouldn't have tipped all that stuff, my taxes wouldn't have gone up. That's what people are gonna think.
Right.
Which is incorrect, but that's what people are gonna think.
Well, and I did spend some time with the county assessor, and as long as we are having this taped, I'd like to enter this into the record. This was dated the 19th of August. It says, to whom it may concern, on this year's tax receipt, it shows that the property taxes levied by the assessor's office increased by 64.726% from the prior year. The reason for this increase is that the assessor spent down a portion of the carryover within her budget the prior year at the request of the conference board. This lowered the prior year taxes levied by 30%. By spending a portion of the carryover, the levy was reduced from 0.49503 to 0.34631. When calculating the budget for the current fiscal year, there were several items added that hadn't traditionally been paid for by the assessor's office. These items included licensing and training fees for the GIS program and paying 1/2 the cost of the new aerial flight imagery. The cost of the GIS and aerials had traditionally been paid for by the auditor's office. The current fiscal year levy is 0.55016. This is an increase of 11.136% from 0.49503 had the carryover not been spent in the prior year's budget. The maximum levy allowed by law for the assessor's department is 0.675. And she says, please let me know if you have any questions. Best regards, Amy Folkerts. And the other thing that Amy mentioned is the reason things can change. The valuation never changed the second year, but rollbacks can change from the state, and of course levies can change like what's pointed out here. So that has nothing, none of this has anything to do with tax increment financing. It all has to do with rollbacks, levies, and that type of thing. So just to make that statement, and let me say that's what Amy had said. Want that part of the record.
And I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm going to see people are going to say their taxes went up. TIF was supposed to be saving us all this money so we didn't have to spend money on roads because we were spending it from TIF instead. So, but my taxes went up. And I'm just telling you that's incorrect, but that's what people are going to think. And
well,
this isn't going to change their mind, I don't think. That's my opinion. That's just my opinion. I hope I'm wrong.
I hope you are too in this case.
But I don't think I am, because people just see their taxes went. It's just like, you guys weren't on, but this was 10, 15 years ago, where taxes just went outrageous up. They went up a lot. And of course, the newspaper had to fan the story by saying, citizens, grab your pitchfork and go down to the Board of Supervisors meeting. And you know what it was? It was a school levy. The school increased their levy. That's where all the tax increase came. And everybody was blaming youth, well, the other two supervisors and Stan for their tax increase. And it had nothing to do with the Board of Supervisors. It was all school.
Actually, that wasn't even correct. They were blaming the guy in the first row back here, Dean.
Were they blaming you, Dean?
Oh, God, yeah. If I can speak to that, that was a terrible situation. The St. Andrews School District and the Osage School Districts at that time did a terrible job of telling people what was going to happen. The Osage School District raised their taxes by over $900,000. St. Andrews School District raised theirs by over $250,000. And the St. Ansgar superintendent, I can show you the article, it was in the Mason City paper, had the audacity to say he dropped the levy by 7 cents. But the taxes went up because the Mitchell County assessor had pumped up valuations. The only reason the valuations went up was because in the 5-year formula, that is when the high prices for the corn and the beans kicked in, and they replaced prices that were basically 4 times lower
Yeah.
in that formula. And I went to the Farm Bureau and I gave them a program on that and told them they had to be on the lookout for what taxing bodies might do. I tried talking to the St. Ansgar superintendent because to raise the same amount of dollars that he had raised the prior year in their budget, he should have dropped the levy by $1.35. But he dropped it by 7 cents and was beating himself in the chest of what a great job they had done. And you cannot believe the hell I caught.
I can believe it.
And to this
Well, we
day,
believe it.
we just gotten those 2 dogs we have, and they were puppies. And when I would walk the dogs after work, when those taxes came out, they were scared to death. You cannot believe the people who pulled up in their vehicles and their pickups and got out and screamed and yelled at me about their tax increase. But when I told them to go to the school, they wouldn't go to the school. You know, they will not go to the school.
No.
And Lowell can testify to this. I had a school board member come in. Do you remember the school board member?
Remember the day.
He did not like it. He thought I was pushing the county's blame, which you were talking about earlier. He thought we were, because we collected the taxes, we were pushing the blame back to the school. And I told him, I asked, Lowell was there, and I said, Lowell, do you have a copy of their budget? Right at the top says Osage Community School Board budget. He had no idea what had happened there. So Amy's just like me, she catches the devil and stuff. It's not usually our fault, it's what the taxing bodies do. And there's a vast amount of information on that tax receipt. And people would just look at it. But like 77%, God, it seemed like it was like 77% of that tax increase went to the schools that time.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong here, farm taxes, the real estate taxes, and if you're aware of this, I'm sorry, farm taxes have nothing, well, a little bit, but very little to do with the actual value of the real estate. They're based on a 5-year average of what corn sold for, and then there's all kinds of figures that go into that. No person could actually calculate it, it's done by computers, correct? But there's all kinds of adjustments. But basically, you look at 5 years average prices on corn. So you could have a terrible year this year, but if 5 years ago was a great year, your taxes are going to go up, right?
Well, what happens is you have 5 years, and for the 19 assessment, 16 and 17 came on. And so, and then you go back to 15, 14, 13, 12, and 11. Those 11 and 12 came off. So that's what happened then when the valuations went up. But, you know, the bad thing is, to this day, it doesn't matter who pulls up beside me in their vehicle. If I have the dogs with me, now they think they're protecting me because people were yelling and screaming at me about this. So my dogs will bark at you something terrible. And
You didn't bark at me.
yep, they do. But you know, it's too. You know, that was a. I even called the press at that time and asked them. I said, God, can't you guys do something about, you know, the Globe? I called the Globe and I called the Mitchell County Press, and I said, guys, we got to do something about the fact that we got to tell the people this is the schools and not the courthouse that raised these taxes. But it seems like they're a sacred cow.
Well, I can remember, and this is pretty close to the exact quote, you know, when they said, you know, citizens, grab your pitchforks and go down to the Board of Supervisors meeting.
Yep, it's
Good,
pretty
that's-
close,
yeah.
pretty darn close.
Yeah, and I remember I called them up and said, that is just totally irresponsible. The supervisors did not raise taxes, it was the school boards. So, there's my soapbox for today, so.
Okay, well, Mark, I don't
But
believe.
perception is everything, reality means nothing.
Well, that's, again, when we have a small group of individuals that are putting out misinformation, why we have to counter it. I mean, there's different people say, well, no, just ignore it, but when they put out false information, those rumors spread. And the more they spread, the more it causes problems. And
The reality is, and this isn't maybe 100% accurate, but it's pretty close. If you guys wouldn't have spent a penny on TIF, or if you would have spent 10 million or 15 million on TIF, people's taxes would be exactly the same as what they are this year.
yeah,
Because the levies wouldn't have changed, you were taking off 11 and 12 and adding 16 and 17, that's what the taxes would have been based on, the levies wouldn't change, no levies changed. The taxes would have been what the taxes were, so. All right.
thank you, Bert.
Thank you, Mark. Moving on. Approve the sheriff's report for July. So, Greg,
Yeah, good morning, everyone.
good morning.
Morning, Sheriff Beaver. How many this morning?
We have 3.
4.
They're long-term, so they've been in for probation violation. We're holding one for Grundy County warrant. The other one's doing a judgment and sentence. And then we have one at the Seward County, which is northwest of Minneapolis, and when he waives extradition, we'll go get him. So I have fees for July of $6,916.02 for you this morning.
Okay.
So moved.
Stanley has already made a motion. Barb?
Second.
Roll call. Stanley?
Aye.
Barb? Smolik? Aye. So we have approved your report for July.
I guess probably the only other thing is Saturday is the main run, so we'll be busy with that. Also, the firemen have an event going on, so it'll be busy in Osage on Saturday. We'll put out a reserve officer to help work with the main run, and that'll go off without a problem, so. So that's really all I have, unless you folks have questions for me.
I have nothing. Greg? Stanley?
Nope.
Okay. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, Greg. And hopefully you have a quiet week.
Me too. Pays the same.
Okay, moving on, the proposal for the jailhouse roof. And David, I see you're here. We have our estimate. A base bid of $58,068. And the upgrade would be, and this is if we vote to do that, would be the Armor Shield Class 4 impact shingles, which would add to $8,568 to the base.
And
So,
what difference do those make?
yeah.
It might survive a hailstorm,
Okay, I mean, I
but
figured that
until that happens, I can't tell you, you know,
it really would.
it's so intangible. We've got insurance for that.
What is the lifespan of these shingles, David, the base bid?
I think it says 20 years there.
Is it 20 year on that, and so the Armor Shield doesn't change that any?
You know, that I'm not sure about.
But it's a cinch we're gonna get hail. Seems like we're able to get hail. Charles?
I've got those high impact shingles on my house that were put on in 2009, and they were 40 year. They're supposed to be high impact, resist hail, unless you get basketball size. And they're supposed to resist any allergy or fungus growing on the roofs. But they're 40 years, that's why I put them on.
Charlie, if we get basketball size hail, we won't have anything. Anyways,
I see it says they're like 50% down up front. Is that a problem for us as far as when to come up with that?
Depends when you do it, I guess.
oh, it says right here, first 40 years total system warranty.
I
On
think that
manufacture on defect.
50% is due when we sign it and send it in to them.
When are we thinking?
Well,
When would they do it? I don't think you wanna give them a lot of money up front. We're gonna have to wait a while.
He said it would be this year yet. Before, well, he said December. These shingles can deal with cold weather. It can be done. That was one thing he mentioned about that higher grade shingle. They don't need to stick down, they're that stiff. I mean, they're wind resistant.
if they aren't, you know, if they don't start till December, that'd be like 3 months they'd have our money.
Well, 4,000, or, excuse me, I'm looking at the other.
Well, if
So,
we go
about
with the,
30,000, 29,000.
if we go with the upgraded, you know, that, which it's a cinch we're gonna get hail, and, I think that would be a plus, being it's only $8,500. The base bid of $58,066 was suggested by Kelly Anderson, the manager at Spawn and Rose, was very reasonable. And it is my thought that we would probably go with the upgrade, but that's my thought. Any comments from fellow supervisors?
I tend to agree with that kind of thing, but Dave, how do you feel?
I don't think you ever regret getting the best. You can't.
Something like that.
You always regret getting the cheapest.
Stanley, any comment?
Nope.
Okay, is there any public comment? Any thoughts, suggestions?
Do you know how long that company's been in business?
Quite a while.
It says on their letterhead there, I think.
1933.
Yeah.
Since 1933. So it's not a fly-by-night company here today and gone tomorrow. I mean,
Because
And
a
we
lot in the
didn't,
past,
we didn't
a lot-
have anybody in the county that bid on it.
Yeah, because in the past, a lot of shingle companies have done shingling work, and then 3 years later, they're out of business.
Long ago.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I asked.
these guys
They've been
are
around.
long-term. Discussed that with Mark earlier, that means that they are a long-term company, that suggests that they do a good job, sell good products, and do good warranty, and keep people happy.
And that's why we checked with Spawn and Rose too, just to get their opinion if they thought the price was reasonable.
So, anyways, would we like to make a motion as to,
I'll also move to get started on this, and you're thinking before the end of the year. Or
no,
it'd be closer to December.
That's what he
Would-
said when I called him.
would your motion be for the base bid or with the upgrade too?
With the upgrade.
Okay.
Second?
Barb has made a motion for the total package with the upgrade. Stanley has seconded. Roll call, Barb, Stanley,
Aye.
and Smollett, aye. So we will go with the upgraded. And this is how it'll be. We'll get something done on the jailhouse roof, and then heads up, we have social services building here in the future that we have to think about, so. Anyways, thank you. We will move on. County engineer update.
Morning.
Good morning.
Well, along with talking about roofs, we are experiencing some issues with the roof in Osage on the main shed. I think it was a few years ago, we had to reseal some of the, but now I think some of the steel's actually rusting through the sheet panels, so I think that's got a rubber coating on top yet too, and I think what's been happening over the years is that we don't have an adequate air exchanger in the shop. And so in the wintertime, our machines come in and they're thawing out, there's so much humidity in that, it's getting up behind the insulation, it's getting trapped in there, and it's starting to corrode the steel up on top of the roof. So I think we might have to be looking at here in the next year or so, a roof replacement on the shop. I don't know what that'll cost. And maybe as well as maybe looking at getting adequate air exchangers in there so that doesn't continue to happen. We replaced the roof in the Riceville shop here, I don't know if it was 5 years ago. We had to replace that roof because it didn't have adequate air exchanging in there either, and the moisture gets up, and then depending on, you know, if it's the winter time and it starts getting warm, we start getting our ceilings dripping, and that means it's getting in the insulation too. So we had that shop re-insulated and re-roofed, and I don't remember what that cost was.
If we got an air exchanger, first, would that prevent that other stuff from getting worse?
It could, but I think
You think
it's
it's
already
fine?
started, and I don't know what that insulation looks like. It's been years, and that insulation's been getting wet. I don't know what kind of potential molds or anything that might be growing in there. We don't know. We haven't gotten up there to look. I know Merlin's been on the roof walking, and he has to be kind of gingerly walking, because if he gets by a purlin where that moisture gets trapped, it's kind of, you can hear it crunching underneath his feet. So I didn't go up there, but that's the report I got from them. So it's something we're gonna have to look a little bit closer at. We're not gonna fall down just yet, but it's something we gotta start planning for.
Well, we should probably look at it closer, before it snows.
Well, we'll see if we can get somebody up there to take a look at it before then, but, you know, I think the building was put up in the mid-80s, so, is that right?
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
So, it's got some life on that roof yet. Gone through a lot, but I think it's actually a problem from,
Late 80s.
yeah, I thought 89, maybe that's
Late
not
80s.
right, but, you know, it's not rotting from the top side, it's coming in from underneath, so. We were thinking of actually trying to figure out, get some quotes too on maybe a different air exchanging system for St. Ansgar, since that's the newest building too, and see if we can head off that problem before it continues. But anyway, it's something to look at. I've gone through the annual report, I'm about 99% done with that, so I might be able to give you guys a report next week on that. And we have 13 applications in. Merlin and I are gonna go through and start scheduling some interviews.
It's a little more than usual, isn't it?
Oh, I expected more, but 13's a good number to come off of, so. And then, like I said, we're gonna look at 2 of them, I think is what we kind of agreed to last time, so we'll look at
Yes.
hiring 2, and I did get confirmation of the retirement in October, so. Yep, so, that's where we're at. Any questions, comments?
On Rock Creek on 316th Street, that's by the staff quarry, where we always have that washout, you know, over the, you dumped a couple loads of dirt on our side of the right-of-way. Are we having anybody seed that so that we try to get seed grass that actually has a deeper?
Yeah, I'll
root?
see if Austin can put something down in there to get some root growth.
Because if you don't have decent root growth, it's not gonna help. All you're
Right.
gonna do is wash it down the creek.
Yep, yep. Yeah, I'll get Austin out there, see if he can put something down there to get it to grow. And also, you know, Greg mentioned the marathon. I just got word this morning, I was talking about road closures and whatnot with Gail by email, and they have 193 runners. I think last year they were at 167, I
I
thought.
look for that to
it's
keep
growing.
growing.
It's growing, it's, you know, so.
Okay.
They had kudos to the board for closing the road down too, so that was at the meeting last week. So we'll get the signage put up, and I'll go out, donate my time on Saturday morning early and put signage up
Okay.
and get it going.
Thank you.
So the guys lay out signs Thursday afternoon, so they're all in locations anyway, that we don't have to
Yeah.
drag it around early in the morning,
Right.
so.
Save you some time.
And they have some volunteers that'll help put some of the signs up too.
And you have it so the bases are in place and gonna permanently stay?
Yeah, we're gonna, there's only a few of them that really need to put bases on, because I think we're gonna be able to lag some of the signs on existing posts.
Okay.
You know, some of them will be on stop signs and whatnot, so it'd be easy. It's not gonna be a detour where we've got a lot of advance warning because it's a 6-hour, 7-hour detour. We're not gonna get gung ho on it, but we are gonna have directional arrows for people to follow. To set up a full, long-term detour, that's just too much for what the event is. Now, if it keeps growing and we start seeing we need to, they're gonna also have some people on the gravel roads as well, so, just to keep people that don't wanna obey signs off the route, so. I think people can survive for 6 hours, 7 hours by taking alternative routes.
Oh, I'm sure somebody won't.
Somebody will be, yeah, there's always gonna be one or two, but at least we keep the big trucks off, that'll be the big thing,
Okay,
so.
well, I have nothing else.
Okay,
Stanley, nothing else. Barb,
all right,
Rich, thank you.
thank you.
I'll
Yep, thank
visit,
you.
I will come out and visit with you before I go home after the meeting.
Okay.
And, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for helping them with that.
Yep, that's,
Just kind
Chris?
of an FYI from last night's city council meeting, there'll be 2 funerals during that main to main going on as well, that they brought up last night. There'll be 2 funerals during main to main going on,
were they Osage funerals, or
they're Osage funerals.
do they use, are they gonna be using the route anywhere to?
They're gonna be trying to get to the cemetery
Oh,
access over there. in
That's
the corner.
the city. But I guess
Okay.
there's,
It's not gonna be a problem
Apparently, that
for you.
would be something that, the funeral home and the city police would probably have.
yeah, I know that,
City's working on it, they're gonna go down Third Street, cause we're gonna be down on what, Fourth or Fifth?
I can't remember what.
Something like
route is
that,
in
but
town.
anyway, they're gonna go down Third Street and go in the back way of the cemetery.
Okay.
But
I'm sure,
they were gonna let them know when they come out, they can't be coming out that way, or,
I know they changed the route a little bit because they had shift change from Fox River, and a lot of the employees were using the route, and I think they alternated the route a little bit from last year to avoid some of that stuff. And I know that because they altered the route in town, they also altered the route in St. Ansgar to kind of give it a little bit more length in St. Ansgar. You take some away, you gotta add some to be certified, so they've got that all worked out, but I know they changed the route a little bit because of shift changes and things like that, so. But that's
They're big.
more their baby than mine, I'm just worried about closing roads, so.
okay, well, thank you, Rich. Next up is consideration of matrix letter, and I'm gonna let Barb have the floor.
Okay, I made up a letter, that we don't know if it'll help at all, but I feel like we should do something to get that matrix changed. And so, if anybody wants to read it, I'll have it sitting here afterwards. I am sending it out to 12 people, besides the DNR, the governor, the House representatives, the people in the Senate minority and majority leaders, and their president, Wayland, Abby Finkenmeyer. I even did to Amanda Reagan. She's not our territory, but I see she is on an ag committee. And anyway, if the guys had already approved this, both of you, last week, and so they signed the letters for me today, and I'll get them sent out.
Anyways, we do have to approve this, so we'll,
Okay, I guess I kind of thought we did that last week, but,
We didn't take a vote.
oh, okay, then we better take our vote.
so anyways.
I have not actually sent them out.
Better have a motion,
Well, I'll so move.
and Stan,
Second?
roll call, Barb,
Aye.
Stanley,
Aye.
and Smolik, aye. So we've officially approved this letter. And Barb, you will send them out. Thank you. Is there any other comment? I guess maybe I should have asked, was there any other comment on that matrix letter? I see nobody jumping up and down. I'm sorry I'm late on that. Anyways, we'll move on. Items of note, meetings attended. Barb?
I had one meeting and I ended up having a reaction to a prescription medicine, so I didn't get to go, but I called them to see how it turned out. Tom Mueller and Kelly Molitor, a small group of teachers were trying to come up with something that they're creating a community where professionals would help students learn necessary skills to lead, innovate, and collaborate is the words they use. So I asked them how they came out, and they said that they had a few good ideas. Joyce Relo, they're building at Cedar Valley an actual education center, and they will want help with different projects, so they probably would use the kids as volunteers. I did check with our three of the department heads here, and to see if they had any feedback on that or had something that they could use help with, and they're all thinking about it. They haven't come up with anything yet. And someone suggested to them that they develop a volunteer database to list jobs, skills needed, and a contact number. I'm not sure if they'll do that or not, but that was suggested.
Okay, so just the one meeting. Stanley?
And I had county conservation, and basically they gave an update on the Stacyville Park, and that was
Basically it?
basically it.
Okay. I had a meeting with the Boyd Mitchell Chickasaw landfill, and they just had a discussion on the dozer. They're having issues with the dozer that's out there at the landfill, and they made a decision that the 2014 John Deere dozer was a lemon, and they had a vote. They're going with a John Deere, a Caterpillar D6. It's going to have the landfill package, cost of $31,000, and again, that was approved. They had some discussion on the leachate disposal, what to do with the leachate, and they had a couple of ideas. Put an on-site wastewater treatment plant out there. Another was a force main to Alma. Another was an on-site evaporator, which doesn't work real good in the wintertime. Wind-aided evaporation system, another one that, when it's froze, things don't work. And then there's reverse osmosis. Different costs. They're going to check in with Alma to see about pumping leachate over to Alma, and they're going to make a decision down the road. They discussed their budget, approved it, and discussion of the generator that they're putting at the landfill. The expense of replacing the panel and the board and all the, they had pictures of it. The board's pretty crusty, rusty, and it's funny it didn't self-destruct and eat itself, melt, I should say, apart. Anyways, it was $55,000 to replace what's needed to be replaced, and with the generator, the new cost of the new generator, and that was approved, so they're going to go with a new generator with all this additions. They finally got their final payment done on cell 3. That was approved. And then last thing, tipping fees reviewed. And tipping fees is the cost of your product that you're dumping at the landfill. And currently it's at $41, and they're thinking about raising the fee, and that they're just bringing that to the public's attention so that, because most municipalities, July 1st is your beginning of the year. So they're talking about it now so that what they decide what the bill will be for that, the municipalities will have plenty of chance, time to get that into their future. So anyways, that was it. That meeting is over, and I don't remember if I visited with yes, I did. I had a meeting out at Ballant. No, I don't. This is 2 weeks ago, so I did not have a meeting at Ballant. Excuse me. I'll have one tomorrow. Anyways, that was my meetings attended. We have next clerk report for July. And the total on that, let's see, Stacy Olson, clerk of District Court of Osage Above, certify the following is true and correct. Statements of the fee collected to me by my office for the month ending of July 31st, 2019, and the total is $2,734.69. So, I guess we so note this, correct? Move on. Public comments. Do we have any public comments? Dean, how are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you. How are you?
We haven't
Good.
seen you for a while.
Well, that's sore subject, but we'll go on. On the 10th of August, Valance stunk like the devil.
But they have been pretty good lately, right?
Yes, but the problem is, if you lived here, you still wouldn't open your windows. Because you never know when it's going to stink. What concerns me is, I didn't see this in the Osage paper, but it was in the Mason City paper about the Osage Council moving towards the new water tower in the southeast end of town. Okay. And the usage, average usage now is 576,000 gallons a day. And they're projecting it's going to go to 880,000. They project that the population is going to increase by about 400 or 500 people in the next 20 years in the city of Osage. My concern is we got all this usage of water that's going to happen again. Are they going to be able to continue to control? I'm sure that water, a large portion of that increase in water usage is going to be going to the industrial park on the south side of town. So if they're going to use additional water, are they going to be able to continue to control the stench that we've had in the past that was horrible all the time for the most part, or not? Because they got new product lines coming out. You know, a while back, you know, the gentleman came here and he said, you know, they had new product lines that they were going to be bringing out. So I'm concerned about the fact that we need to be up front. When they were allowed to come here, we were told there was going to be a slight fish smell, and it turned out to be quite worse than that. If they're going to increase their product lines, and if the water usage is going to go up 304,000 gallons a day in the next 20 years, I would assume that a large portion of that's probably going to be down there. So is the facility they have now for the water treatment going to be able to handle an additional huge increase of water?
They're doing some expansion, and again, I have a meeting, it's either tomorrow or maybe it's Thursday. I'll learn more at that meeting as to what's going on. That's gonna be with the Osage and the DNR for the future and the sewer. So I'll learn more maybe then. And again, they're not, okay, on the 10th that you were discussing, the day there was heavy smell, that might have been some sludge removal. I don't know, because I wasn't at last Friday's meeting. And when they do move sludge, I'm afraid we're gonna have that smell. But as far as the scrubber and all the things that they're enacting, they haven't really enacted that stuff yet. They'll start in September 1st on some of that other, can't remember the name of that other piece of equipment that they're putting in there. But September 1st is when they were gonna get all of their engineers and everybody were gonna come in and they were gonna check on, get going on that. But as far as your water consumption, I don't know a thing on that yet. That's not been indicated to me as to if they are the ones using the water.
Well, I would think that if they're using this amount of water for the product they're putting out now, and they're gonna increase their product line, they'd be using more water.
Probably.
But see, I don't know if it's Valent, and I don't
Something
know
you
if
can
it's,
ask.
I don't know if that's, across the street, A to Z. I haven't really had any indications that they were going to be using more water, not that I know.
Well, the reason I came was because, like I said, I did see this in the Osage paper, and maybe it was there and I just overlooked it, but it was in the Mason City paper. If you'd like a copy of it,
I saw it somewhere, and I didn't see the Mason paper,
okay. I must have overlooked it.
unless I saw it online. I might have saw it online. I don't know.
Like I said, I usually read the paper fairly well, and I have never missed it, but it was in the, Steve Thompson did the report.
It might have been online, I saw it.
I'll ask on future water use.
But I just hate to see them take 2 more steps backwards when they've been going forward. And you're right, it's been better.
I'd like
Well,
to
they've
think
been,
thought of that.
they've got that one burning, it burns the air and that takes some of the odor out of it. But the scrubber is on hold.
Yeah.
That's,
When I take the dogs out at 11 o'clock at night, it seems like quite often, I don't know if they're releasing stuff at night or what, because people are in bed. It
That's
seems
why I
like
don't
10:30
open my windows at
Yeah.
night.
Yeah, but it seems like 10:30, 11 o'clock. Wow.
Don't you think sometimes though that, I always think I notice it more then because the winds died down?
Well, that could be too, but it's.
And with the humidity.
that's true. Humidity has a lot to do with the odor. But yeah, all I can do is ask on your water question. That hasn't been indicated to me that they're going to raise usage. But that could be the
Well, I'm just
future.
assuming that this is what they're doing now, and they're going to expand, they're gonna have to have more water. And I didn't know, if their water treatment plant that they're supposedly running now, if it's at capacity, are they gonna have to expand that water treatment plant that they
Well,
have?
it'll be interesting, but hopefully they've already thought of that.
Oh, I'm sure. That's why maybe Thursday's meeting's going on. But I gotta see what Thursday's meeting is. I just heard about it yesterday.
Thank you.
Hopefully I gave you somewhat of an answer, but I don't think I answered your question at all.
No. But at least you're gonna go to this meeting.
It's pretty hard for me to answer a question when, I don't know what they're doing. What their future is, they talk about what they're doing now. What their future is, I don't know what their future is. So, anyways, if there is anything else to discuss, we'll cut the meeting. Meeting is over.